Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
TRE's Entrepreneur of the Week.
My entrepreneur of the week is Jo Living. She is the founder of Aces High, a corporate workshop like no other. It's a unique and immersive poker-inspired team-building experience designed to tease out essential business skills around negotiation, reading the room, managing risk and reward, and performance under pressure. Welcome to the show, Jo.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. And what a fascinating idea. I've literally never seen anything like this. It must be really quite unique what you do.
It is so fun and different, and I think that's what corporates are crying out for. Team building with a difference that's not been done before, but it actually lands real business value too.
Yeah, amazing. So tell me about your background. I read about you winning your first international poker tournament when you were on holiday in Morocco whilst pregnant, beating 200 men. That sounds brilliant.
That's the origin story. Yeah, my boyfriend was a bit of a poker player, and he was nagging at me to enter this tournament on holiday. And yeah, I was pregnant and exhausted and had no interest, but reluctantly rolled off my hammock and then took a book along because I had only been learning poker for about 6 months. Fully expected to get knocked out early, and 6 hours later at 4 a.m, I think I'd beaten 200 men, to win my first tournament. So it was fun.
Amazing. So when you went into the tournament, you didn't think you were that good?
No, absolutely not. I mean, let's be clear, there was a certain amount of luck along the way, but by the end, it was a masterclass in using your opponent's force against them, as people were betting aggressively to me. As one of, I think, the only female in the entire tournament, as it was in Morocco, I was able to take more of their chips and go on to win the whole thing. But what was really interesting was what I learned about myself at the poker table and how that has helped me in business to negotiate, to assert my value, to read the room, and to perform under pressure. And that's really what I'm trying to relay in Aces High.
Amazing. So how did you come up with that? How did you go from just enjoying playing poker, being good at playing poker, and then thinking, maybe I could apply this to business?
Great question. I actually was hosting my own low-stakes home games just for fun, and they were really male-dominated, and I wanted more women to join. So I recruited some brilliant professionals in my network and started teaching them beginners poker. And week after week, I saw them growing in confidence, and they were closing more client deals, reporting that they were landing promotions. My friend Caroline said after a client negotiation, she said to me, I realised I had aces. There was no way I was folding. So there was these organic reports of poker strategy helping the women in my network to assert their value. And that's when I came up with the idea for Aces High.
And it hasn't been going that long. You've done really well, really quickly.
That's right. We launched in January 2025, and we've had, we hit 6 figures in our first 12 months of revenue. We've attracted attention from Richard Branson, who posted about Aces High across his personal socials. We've delivered to corporates such as international law firms, investment firms, leading tech companies, global media giants, you name it. So I think it's really meeting a gap in the market for kind of energetic, engaging and inclusive team building. Obviously, it's always zero gambling and designed for complete beginners. And again, kind of bringing it back to how can you take this analogy of the poker table back to the boardroom table, back to your everyday office lives.
And how have people found out about you? Obviously, getting Richard Branson messaging on his social media and stuff. Obviously, a lot of people will see that. I mean, has a lot of it come from word of mouth?
Yeah, the Richard Branson post helped just for a spike, but really that doesn't last long in social media land, right? So it's really been word of mouth. We've had a lot of traction with tech companies. I have a background of 10 years in investment banking, so I'm actually now overlaying poker strategy for investment success. So how can companies that are in financial markets, in risk management such as insurance, but particularly around the investment side, really look at some of the poker theory around whether it's loss aversion or outcome bias, and look at these behavioural insights that you can really shine a light on your attitude to risk, conflict and decision making under pressure.
Yeah. So when you set up the company, was the idea to go after corporate clients, go to big companies to be training their staff? Was that the in?
Initially, no. I thought it would be me and a pack of cards and some poker chips after hours from my day job as a complete side hustle, quite honestly chancing it for 500 quid here or there. And after the first, 3 or 5 events, it became very apparent that people absolutely loved it. Even complete novices that didn't think poker was for them loved the strategic gameplay, loved the kind of aha moments and the insights they were getting. And the referrals very quickly went to kind of major tech giants, household names, investment companies that, and that's really when I realized I was onto something, because I've done very little outreach and had a lot of inbound.
Fantastic. And entrepreneur Simon Squibb, he's up for it as well. He really liked it.
That's right. I was able to meet him in person and shared a little bit about my origin story and how I came up with the idea. And he said he'd love to host an event for his team at his company Help Bank, which supports entrepreneurs. So I'm in touch with his team to make that happen.
Great. So with regards to scaling the business, I mean, it sounds like some of it's happened organically, but what are some of the things that you need to do or you have been doing in order to get yourself out there?
Well, so far we've been a bit of a one-trick pony with a kind of team building experience that's 3 to 4 hours with poker tables, chips and zero gambling. But now we're looking to layer on a tech angle, which is looking at in real time your poker play. So we're actually tracking QR codes on the playing cards and triangulating that data, your decision-making data, with psychometric profiling on your attitudes to conflict, risk and decision-making, and looking at your stress response in real time, so wearable heart rate monitors. So we're overlaying now some really insightful tech that can take it from team building fun to really leadership and executive training at the highest level to understand quite a hard to train skill, which is decision making primarily.
Yeah. So people that are doing these courses, are they actually playing poker? They're learning to play poker at the same time?
Absolutely. So we take complete novices that don't know the difference between a club and a spade or which suits they're playing through to their first zero gambling poker tournament, and we play for champagne and chocolates and trophies and bragging rights, and all the while we're looking through a lens of how you can make decisions and thrive under pressure and self-regulation in high stakes moments, and really I truly believe it's such a microcosm of how we show up in the real world. So we're artificially curating quite a high stress but safe environment to trigger some of these responses, fight, flight or freeze. We see pertains very closely to raise, fold or call, and we're able to track. Isn't it interesting how you had the best hand, you weren't able to get your voice heard, you weren't able to assert yourself in that moment? Or conversely, perhaps the alpha type is so used to throwing their ideas around, leading the conversation, betting aggressively, if you like, they're kings. They're not able to hear that someone else at the table has aces. And what's happening in the boardroom, if that same pattern plays out, they might be missing out on good ideas, crucial information, or innovative insights from junior team members.
So fascinating. So during the course of playing poker, are you or other people analysing what's happening as it's happening in terms of how this could be translated into business, or is that all done afterwards? How does it work?
No, absolutely. In real time, we're able to give feedback about people's ability or otherwise to lean in, to take a seat at the table, and even just something basic like learning a completely new skill as an adult is something we don't do that often, and people's responses to that and how they want to stay in their safety comfort zone versus their attitude to risk. And with the personality profiling that we're layering on now, you can get to know your poker personality, which comes in the form of an animal. For example, a jackal might be very aggressive or be more willing to take risks. An elephant in every hand, or a mouse may be slightly more timid or risk aware and cautious, and being able to play that back in real time to understand how it's showing up for you. And one is not better than the other. It's just, what is your default response? And actually the best poker players aren't necessarily the jackals, but they're the strategic chameleons that can step outside of their default response and dial up whichever side of themselves is most needed in that particular circumstance. So we talk about sort of being your poker personality, your table persona, and how you're managing your presence as well.
I can totally understand why you must get such a fun response from people, because this must be much more enjoyable than just sitting round a table in a boardroom with someone standing there in a suit giving a speech and saying, giving all this corporate advice. And, everyone's been in that situation when it's really dull and that it's interesting and that you could probably learn from it, but it's difficult to keep your eyes open. Whereas this is really fun.
Absolutely. And we say you're not just hearing about negotiation, you're in it. You're making decisions hand after hand and trying to make a judgment call on everything from risk and reward and how you kind of dial that up. We're never saying in the corporate world, quite often risk is perceived as something to be minimized or eliminated or transferred at every turn. And that often is the case for corporate risks. But in our careers, with our client negotiations, if you're not at least sometimes going out on a branch, you're never going to get the best fruit. So we're talking about expected returns and analyzing and evaluating and re-evaluating in real time your strengths, your assets, how you can lean into uncertainty, because let's face it, the world is an uncertain place, right? You're having to make decisions with incomplete information every single day. And so this is an experience, you're right, that's immersive, it's fun, it's new for people, but you're really in it. And the range of aha moments people have about themselves and how they show up in meetings or under pressure or in decision making or in conflict is really wide and diverse. And so it's always a joy to see people taking so much from our workshops.
Yeah. And has anything kind of gone wrong for you yet? As anything, I say yet as if it's always going to happen. Hopefully not. But, there's often lessons to be learned as you're building a business and growing a business. Has that happened?
Delightfully, it's been going great guns since the beginning from a business sense, but there was one particular early event in our history where we had all the packs of cards and their hands, and we have some pre-organised hands for learning teachable moments. And we opened the suitcase that my business provider had bought the cards in, and these pre-planned hands had all fallen out of their elastic bands. And so we opened a mini suitcase of just a complete mush of playing cards, all with the same backs. So we now have them boxed, not just elastic bands, but boxed and separated in card dividers and holders with different backs. So that never happens again. That was a scary moment, but we worked through it.
And is this primarily aimed at women, or is it for men and women both?
I love working with female-led teams and female-heavy teams, but it's absolutely both. I mean, the world is a mix, right? And so what we pride ourselves on is something super inclusive. So as a female founder, I'm working to really smash the stereotypes of poker around bluff and bravado and boys' night and help people to understand it's actually about strategic thinking, patience, discipline, evaluating risk and leaning in when it serves you. And so actually, I think poker is a game played by men, but absolutely made for women, but we're for everyone. So we very much welcome female heavy teams, but obviously we work with all clients and we're super inclusive.
And do you see a difference between how men and women approach it? Obviously, I'm generalising, but, are men a lot more kind of into it from the start and thinking, I'm going to be great at this, and women are maybe a little bit more cautious or a bit nervous, or not necessarily?
I've been absolutely shocked at how stark that contrast is. I really thought it would be a slight difference, but I see time and again, quite disappointingly, women, and it's a generalisation, it's anecdotal data, it's not data, but they are oftentimes unable to assert their value and get their voice heard at the poker table, and it worries me for them at the boardroom table. But having said that, most often the winners of the Aces High Cup friendly tournament will be complete beginner women. So what we're seeing is, the bulk of them are unable to assert their value, but when the women can, they're actually outplaying the men. So we're sort of seeing this contrast of a lot of people being quite fearful and risk averse, but then those that really can lean in and assert their value are really strategic and patient and parking their ego, importantly, because you're not trying to win every hand, you're trying to win the tournament. And so let the small ones go, protect your chips, pick your moment and time your contribution, and oftentimes the women are taking home the trophies.
Fascinating. It must be every day. You must be learning so much more about yourself and other people, and really, really interesting.
I'm learning about myself from the poker table, from my startup, from, the people that I meet in business. And I'm in this unique position, I think, of straddling 10 years in investment banking. So I bring that corporate world experience. I know what those away days need and look like and feel like, with entrepreneurial experience and obviously poker as a passion, that I've tied those three things together, I think, in quite a unique way. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. It's so much fun and I am learning every day.
Yeah. And do you still play for fun as well?
I do, yes, not too much for money anymore, trying to very much distance myself from any cash gambling, and certainly at Aces High, every single event we do is zero gambling, but I do have the odd home game, low stakes, in my own time away from Aces High.
Oh, brilliant. So where do you see the company going? Have you got kind of aims for the future, or is everything going along quite nicely at the moment? Are you happy with where you are?
There's lots of really exciting things in the pipe. There's some kind of future press and potential kind of TV appearance, which I'm excited about for 2027, and then we will see where it takes from there. But definitely looking at this sort of tech angle and how we can layer on psychometric testing with the stress response in real time with your decision making, and give really insightful, personalized information, but in the context of a team setting, and help people understand how they're interacting with colleagues as well, which I think is a really powerful lens.
Yeah. And do you do any of these courses online, or do people need to come to you?
So we're not offering a digital solution at this time. We feel that poker is a contact sport, and there's something so uniquely brilliant about having that eye-to-eye contact and seeing people, your colleagues across the table from you at a time when teams are so dispersed and disconnected. I guess Aces High brings people together for that in-person fun, connection and friendly competition. So we're not looking, I think there's enough online poker out there. This is about kind of something a bit different to really understand you and your colleagues in that kind of team building environment. So we bring, for example, full-size tournament grade poker tables, dealers from the World Series of Poker, so you've got a bit of poker sparkle, chips and premium kit, obviously, as well as these prizes, champagne and chocolates and trophies. And so it makes for a very immersive, engaging experience. But we're fully mobile across the UK and starting now to look at international events in Europe and New York and hopefully other places before too long.
Oh, exciting stuff. Well, it's been great having you with us as our Entrepreneur of the Week. Joe Living, thank you so much for joining us. And if people want to find out more about Aces High, where should they go?
Absolutely. Follow us on Instagram at Aces High London, as well, Joe Living on LinkedIn. So please reach out. We're absolutely open to corporate team building bookings as well as client events. It makes a really great experience.
Absolutely. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. Lovely to chat with you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Bye-bye.